Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 1993 classic horror Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. The film is co-written and directed by Adam Marcus, and it stars John Dealer May, Carrie Keegan, Kane Hodder once again returns as Jason. We have Stephen Williams, Stephen Culp, Erin Gray, Richard Gant, and Leslie Jordan. Right. Oh boy. This time round, at the beginning of this film, Jason is blown up. I suppose it's the best way to describe it. He's kind of, killed. Definitively, or so you would think. His remains are taken to a hospital, and there we learn that, he's not dead. And there is some kind of way that he can infect people with his evil self, and they become him. Then he must find a way to get a new body, and the only way he could do that is to kill his last remaining relatives, which is Erin Gray's character, who is his sister, apparently. And then also he's got a niece, and there's a little baby. And it takes everybody a long time to catch up because Jason keeps jumping bodies, and they have to kind of figure out what's going on and get Jason finally sent to hell. Right, what are my thoughts on Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday? Well, come on, it's garbage. This one is absolutely terrible. Now, I knew a little bit about what to expect, mainly because some people in the comments from my previous reviews for the other Friday the 13th films have kind of warned me, what to expect with this one. And I couldn't get my head around how they thought this was a good idea, this film. I mean, essentially, this is Jason and the Body Snatchers. The whole concept, the whole deciding to, retcon everything that's gone before and just shit on everything that's gone before. He's got this sister now, etc., etc. And they're going down like the Halloween route, and this whole idea of him jumping from body to body like this parasite, it was just beyond stupid. I don't know how they came up with this idea. I mean, I know at this point now they were really struggling for ideas for the Friday the 13th films. Obviously they were. But all really people want to see is Jason, chopping, hacking, slashing, and going a bit mental. And you don't get that in this film. You get it in very, very small doses. A little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end, and in between that, you've got these people walking around like zombies, acting like Jason, but looking nothing like him, unless, of course, they look in a mirror, and then we can all see Jason. It's moronic and idiotic, and I can't take this film seriously. Now, and that's saying something for the Friday the 13th franchise, because the whole franchise isn't really to be taken seriously, especially after, probably the first three. They start to get dafter and dafter and dafter, sort of thing. And this is absolutely no different. The whole concept was absolutely ridiculous in this film. And it didn't work, in my opinion, even in a small way. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it out of my head. Now, saying that, I'm trying to latch on some positives here, because I think the production values here are actually pretty sound. You know what I mean? They're actually quite polished at this point, these movies. It's not so much that side of it I've got a problem with. It's the story and the concept I've got a real problem with. There are actually some quite cool effects here in this film. There's one in particular that I thought was really very good. When this parasite kind of leaves someone's body and jumps into somebody else's, the body it's left basically dissolves or rots away before your eyes, and you get to see that effect in one scene. And I thought that was pretty well done, actually. But then it started, like I say, introducing these characters. Saying that this is Jason's sister, and there's this woman with a baby, and I'm thinking, am I supposed to know them? And if I am, I mean, I thought I was actually quite attentive. And I've just literally sat through pretty much all the other Friday the 13th over the last few weeks, watched them and reviewed them, and I've not a clue who these characters were. So I'm assuming they were just brought in for this film to kind of try and make this film makes as much sense as it possibly could. But, there's no way that I had any connection to these characters at all that they're supposed to they introduce in this film. Of course, there's a new magical knife now that's just appeared. We've got this bounty hunter in this film, Creighton Duke, played by Stephen Williams, who's probably the worst bounty hunter I've ever seen. He spends most of the film in jail, and when he's not in jail, he's pretty useless anyway. But he's basically there just to tell the audience, these new changes in the franchise now. One of them being there's a special knife that can kill Jason now. We haven't seen it for the rest of the movies, but it's there. You need to trust in the process, guys. There's a new knife now, the magical knife that can kill Jason. And then I think the icing on the cake for me, or the turd on the top of the cake for me, was there is a character, basically. Well, I don't care about spoilers to be fair. Erin Gray's character, who was in Buck Rogers, and I had a big crush on her when I was a kid. I'm not going to lie, when she was in Buck Rogers. However, I digress. Erin Gray's character, who's supposedly his sister, is killed in the film, and she ends up, and I'm not even going to explain how, but she ends up in in an abandoned house somehow, her dead body. Don't ask me how it gets there, because I'll be there a month trying to explain it to you, and it doesn't make no sense. But she is. Jason then possesses this body, and bearing in mind that Erin Gray's character was in a waitress uniform, a corpse at the bottom of like a floorboard sort of thing. He jumps down, possesses her, as this parasite thing, and then comes up fully formed as Jason. I mean, my jaw was hitting the floor at this point. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I think they were just making it up as they went at this point in the film. And for me, the best part of this film, by a country mile, was pretty much the last shot of the film when it showed Freddy's glove. That obviously we knew came to fruition eventually, but I think they were hoping to make it a lot sooner than they did. So other than, like I say, the production values, which were all solid, so there are some pretty decent kills. There's a decent amount of gore, and the special effects were of a decent standard. But this did not feel like a Friday the 13th film at all. It felt like complete hard left, if you like, and they completely and utterly, I think, well, it's no wonder really that this kind of killed the franchise for a while. I mean, yeah, terrible. I just didn't enjoy this one at all. It had some positives, but very, very few, in my opinion, to recommend this one. Put it this way, I don't think I'll ever want to watch this one again. Even if I get the Friday the 13th collection on Blu-ray or something, I will never watch this one again. I think it sticks out like a sore thumb. It doesn't really belong in the franchise as far as I'm concerned. It kind of cackers on what's come before. And I think, judging by what came after this, it pretty easy to forget as well. I mean, one of the selling points of this film was like, Sean Cunningham. He directed the first one. He's come back to direct the last. I mean, he's come back to finish the last film. Well, he didn't. He just produced the bloody thing. You know, he didn't direct this thing. God, he'd have been ashamed if he did, I think. So, yeah, didn't like this one, guys. It's my least favourite so far, so that's why I've given it such a poor score. So thanks for joining me. I will be reviewing Jason X next, and I'm looking forward to checking that one out, especially after watching this. So thanks for joining me for this review.